I just want to say how grateful I actually am that you're here listening. And I think about it, and it's not necessarily just the fact that you're here. I think that that's amazing and it's super cool. Um, but it's also the fact that I have this amazing infrastructure that I can actually talk on my phone and it goes out to all these people and I don't need, I mean, I want you to think about how crazy this is. That I don't need like a whole great big radio tower. I mean, if you think about 50 years ago, what would this have looked like? I would have had to have had this massive radio tower and spend millions of dollars to actually be able to do this. Millions. And then I'd only be able to get it in my immediate vicinity. I'd have to apply for all these grants to get a certain amount of radio waves and all of this kind of ridiculousness that that we had to go through. I think about that. Just why aren't more people taking advantage of the sort of amazing opportunities that we actually have? Now, I think in my head, um, I don't know what I'm gonna do with any of this stuff, right? Like, yes, I'm trying to build this platform, the whole reciprocity platform, and yes, it's kind of a bit of like marketing because I want you to be aware of it, and that's how I started with it. But now that I've been practicing it, now that I think about it, I'm like, there's potential. There's a lot of option potential to actually just talk to people, right? And I think about like, hey, what's the most important things that we have in terms of like doing good things in our life is being able to communicate and talk to people. That's the way that we sort of escape. I mean, other than education, that's the way that we escape poverty. That's the way that we do all of these kind of things. Um, and I think about that is like all of the categories of our life. I want you to take a step back. I think I said this very recently, and sort of reflect on that. Like just how privileged we have things. The fact that not only this, I'm talking doing this sort of crazy thing. I mean, all of my clothes are synthetic, um, and they've been built in the last, like they wouldn't have existed. Yes, they bring in new problems, right? I'm aware of that. Um, but, you know, none of these clothes would have existed 50 years ago. I mean, I think about the fact that I can think about my feelings. That was not socially acceptable until very, very recently. Um, I would say even when I was growing up, that is not a thing, and it's still not a thing within my generation. But then you talk to the generation below me, and it's okay to do those kind of things, right? To express yourself and be all sorts of, you know, differentness, just there are all sorts of goofy sort of things that you can be. That didn't exist, right? Like all of that, the whole nature behind what we do and what it looks like. I mean, the whole world didn't exist the way it is right now. And it was far different. And it looked really, really strange compared to today. And I want you to reflect on that and just be, and it's not even like a gratitude or thankfulness, but it's more of like awe, right? Like it's it's really amazing when I take a step back and I think, oh my gosh, this is like the opportunity of a lifetime that we should be taking advantage of. And yeah, I just wanted to say that how thankful, grateful, just in amazement I actually am. And I think about like the next 30 years, the next 50 years, what that's going to look like, who am I going to be talking to? It's, I don't know. I mean, like, likely it's not going to be me doing any of this kind of stuff because it's going to be a robot. Or, you know, who I am right now might not necessarily age nearly as much, um, because there's so many advancements that's going on in medication. So I might be like, uh, 150 years old. I don't know. It might be pretty old, right? Probably at least 100. Think about, like, what does this mean for all of us? This sort of social change that we have, and I think we can take advantage of it. But you have to take advantage of it. You actually have to engage. You have to do things that you're afraid of, and just realize that it's pretty freaking awesome as you're doing it. There's a lot of things to be afraid of, but at the same time, the only way you're going to take advantage of something is by jumping on that horse and going. Being afraid of going on a bicycle and stepping up and going. And I want you to think about that. Like, what is it? What are the things in your life that you think you can't do or you're afraid of? And start pursuing those things. Because we have a lot of opportunity. It's a fun time to live. And I think we should start living.